have some airy, audacious goals that you may have. You need to look at those goals and then try to amend your strategies to match the situation. So this is what everyone needs to look at, irrespective of what profession they come from, whether he's a student or a leader. Whatever be the world or the scenario, atmosphere he is in, he needs to really adopt. So the core ideology has to be taken care of, which consists of the core values and the BAG, which is nothing but your big, hairy, audacious goals, which you need to always keep up in mind so that you try to achieve that as much as possible. So this is how we always look at. And more importantly, when you have critical skills, you need to acquire certain critical skills to survive in this uncertain world. What are those critical skills? Like, for example, you need to, if you are in business, you need to have business acumen or critical thinking at the strategic level. Whatever be the profession, these are the things that you may. It's not that only a business person needs to have this business acumen. Acumen has to be their business. Whatever be the strategies that you adopt, whatever be the background that you are working in, these are the basic common things. You try to adapt it to the present situation or the profession that you are in. And the third, you have this, as I told you, these big airy goals. These goals has got to be really etched in your memory so that you don't miss out on any of these things. And also ensure that you take care of the risk management that you are going to face in these when you try to meet out these goals. So these, and more importantly, the final one is that you need to navigate them. When you have a goal, when you have to wanted to achieve that goal, there has to be certain interdependencies between certain parameters. There will also be complex communication skills. But it's not that you always try to meet out with the straight edge face. You always have to really navigate. You also know how to really make things happen. So communication skills has to be improved in a huge way. So primarily speaking, the Vuca leadership principle is you need to be very clear about your core visions and values, very good communicator, agile, hire, and have all agile employees, agile people around you, by which you will embrace the change, anticipate, and prepare for multiple outcomes, and apply the readiness and change management skills. That's how we look at the future, and the future is always uncertain, as is going to be the speaker who is going to talk about uncertainty is the new normal by Lee Pefer. So that's how things are. It should be very good when you want to really look at challenges. We should be able to take up the challenges head on. So that's the way we always need to work in, so that we always keep ourselves engaged. And more importantly, we need to have a cohesive society, and a which is really going to help us to put all your goals into one, and then ensure that we achieve the goals that we have set for. So this is what I understand from Vuca. This is what I understand from what we have been facing for the last 1.5 years due to COVID pandemic. So these are the things that everyone we have been able to cope up with these things and then try to come out successful. But still, there is always an element of uncertainty. Please, we have to be absolutely on our toes to understand and react to situations, whatever we are going to be put across. So this is the real world, and this is going to be really challenging. And these participants or these guest speakers, eminent speakers, I'll be happy to sit along and then try to understand their experiences, whatever they have faced or whatever they have implemented, the changes that they have brought about in their own organizations. That would be great to listen from these eminent speakers. And for those who are the professionals who have joined here as participants, for them it's going to be a real real treat for them. And I wish everyone has a very good listening and happy learning, and hope everyone tries to take some impetus from these talks that is going to be there in the next 1.5 hours, and then try to implement it whatever is possible in their respective organizations for the years to come. Thanks everyone. Thanks very much to the organizers, Dr. Asokan and his team, for providing me an opportunity to talk a few words on this August gathering. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your marvelous and warm felicitation. It's time to unfold, horizon, and realize the importance of the day. Today, we have a research expert, Dr. and Professor Zelika Zelemaglu from Turkey with us, who is seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought. We are highly honored and feel magnified with your presence virtually at this evening. May I now request Mrs. Tilakavati to take an important role to introduce our eminent speaker to the gathering. It's over to you, Tilakavati.
Thank you, Dr. Sridevi. It's our honor privilege to invite Professor Dr. Zelika Zelemaglu from Turkey as a speaker for today's session. Dr. Zelemaglu, who is with research interest on medical biology, molecular biology, biochemistry, biotechnology, and other respective realms, is a professor in Medical Biology Department of Nigde Ömer Halis Demi University, Turkey. Professor Zelika Zelemaglu earned her esteemed PhD in biology from Inanı University, has published over 160 peer-reviewed journal articles with over 2,510 citations and many other technical reports. Besides, with versatile roles as a member of Society for Experimental Biology and Medicine and associate membership and European Association for Cancer Research. Dr. Zelika's accomplishment still extends by having served as editorial board member for many journals. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Tilakavati, for your brief introduction of Professor Dr. Zelika Zelemaglu. We, SRMIST fraternity, highly privileged to honor Professor Dr. Zelika virtually. May I now humbly take a step to call upon our first speaker of this evening, Professor Dr. Zelika Zelemaglu from Turkey. Ma'am, it's over to you.
Thank you so much for your very nice and great introduce me. Thank you again. I would like to share with you my presentation firstly. I hope it will be okay.
Okay, fine, madam.
Thank you so much. Could you see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Visible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Full screen is continue or not?
No, not.
Oh, not continue.
Make it full screen.
Full screen is okay?
Sir, it will be shown it is in a Zoom mode or slide sheet mode.
Slide is work.
Make it slide share, madam.
Now is okay?
Not yet, madam. You can press F5 or
My presentation. Could you we see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, madam. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hi everyone. Good evening. Greetings from Turkey. Firstly, I would like to thanks to all organizing member for invite me to this very great event in India, a 3-day virtual international conference on accelerating global higher education in the Vuca Prime World. Thank you so much for your very nice program and invite me. And also, I would like to thanks to all organizing members and distinguished speakers and all participants to this very, very great event in Pakistan, in India. Also, in this session, I would like to present about global higher education in a VUCA world to survive and manage through COVID-19 and beyond. And greetings from Turkey to India and to all participants and distinguished speakers and all organizers. You know, global higher education institutes need change to improve efficiency and stay competitive in the challenge posed by globalization in the Vuca world. Higher education has faced many challenges since its meager inception. However, higher education today faces its greatest combinations of challenges: economic uncertainty, accountability, globalization, and emerging technologies that are daunting to learn and intimidating to implement. Vuca accurately describes this complex, evolving, and dynamic environment confronted by global higher education. So, global higher education institutions are attempting to develop the capacity to adapt and modify the new models of knowledge, information, and change. So these days, you know, we have bad days related to COVID-19. So COVID-19 is not just a major healthcare problem affecting countries worldwide. It is also having a devastating impact on business. To help leaders manage the challenges facing their organization due to the pandemic, it is recommended a customized one-day workshop following the Vuca model, as the types of challenges leaders currently face are similar to that model. Sorry, could you hear me?
எப்பவுமே அப்பா இந்த விஷயத்துக்கு 4 வாரத்துக்கு திட்டா போதும் நினைப்பாரு. 8 வாரத்துக்கு போடுவார். ஏன்னா அடுத்த வாட்டி 4 வாரத்துக்கு.
Ma'am, can you please unmute yourself, ma'am? Now it is muted.
Ma'am, can you unmute your audio?
Okay. I hope now is okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Fine,
thank you. The COVID-19 pandemic is the greatest challenge we have faced since World War II. To date, the number of reported cases is close to 6 million, and the number of deaths exceeds 300,000 worldwide. The pandemic is also having a devastating impact on business. People are losing jobs and income, with no way of knowing when normalcy will return. The International Labour Organization estimates that the pandemic could cause 200 million jobs, even when the short-term effects and the long-term economic impact will ripple for years. So, all 4 characteristics of Vuca are true of the challenge we face to the coronavirus. Volatility, change to the COVID-19 are taking place every day, unpredictable, dramatic, and fast. Uncertainty, no one could predict with confidence when the pandemic will end or when we will have a cure or vaccination. Until these days, complexity, the pandemic is affecting all aspects of life, including healthcare, business, the economy, and social life in complex ways. Finally, the last one, ambiguity. There is no best practice that organization can follow to manage the challenges caused by the pandemic. So, to face the significant changes caused by the coronavirus, leaders must be flexible and agile and adapt their strategies based on the new situation. They should re-evaluate all environmental and competitive forces and either amend their current strategy or adopt a new strategy to realize their goals. For business to survive, Vuca quite simple means to be nimble or die. They need system elasticity that can response to volatile events as opportunities. More than ever, corporations that will thrive in the post-pandemic world have to become learning organizations. What does VUCA mean for schools? It means we cannot prepare for a new future based on past mental models based on standardized tests, top-down governance, bureaucratic operation, and lack of collaboration with higher education, business, non-profit, and community patterns. Like business, schools must transform into enable learning organizations. So, more than ever, it means students must graduate from our systems with a growth mindset based on 21st century skills, collaborations, critical thinking, communication, creativity, and compensation. More than ever, students need to develop into citizens who are capable of addressing these unprecedented VUCA challenges and who are ready for a lifetime of obstacles to thrive as job opportunities ebb and flow. So, the pandemic will leave many VUCA potholes that education institutions will have to build over, around, or through. Schools and students will be on the front line facing issues of increased poverty, rising healthcare costs, increased unemployment and underemployment, racial tensions, environmental issues, lack of access to high-speed internet, mental health, declining enrollment, and other challenges that cannot be anticipated. Through implementation of the career preparedness system framework, we can build a new transformative educational model that will help our country continue to be a world leader in innovation and job creation into the next century. The big lesson from this pandemic is that school systems cannot adapt to changes without transforming into learning organizations. As the guru of learning organization, Peter Sanch states, through learning we recreate ourselves. Through learning we become able to do something we never were able to do. Through learning we perceive the world and our relationship to it. Through learning, we extend our capacity to create, to be part of the generative process of life. During such a quickly changing and unpredictable environment, leaders must fully understand those changes and their impact on their business and then develop strategies to manage these changes. In this time change, leaders should stick to their core values, core purpose, and their ambitious, big, hairy, audacious goals. Of course, they can element their strategies to match the situation, but they must always keep their vision in mind. Changes to COVID-19 are taking place every day, unpredictable, dramatic, and fast. So, VUCA describes the current world of higher education operating in a global marketplace, often without a clearly defined mission. Success in a VUCA world is not just about the hardware of technology. It is also about a new kind of leadership that is values-led and purpose-driven. The VUCA world is not going to disappear as technology develops faster and the world truly becomes a global marketplace. Change in the VUCA world is relentless and the environment is constantly shifting. The VUCA leader's role is to create moments of clarity and focus, while at the same time analyzing the shifting environment and preparing to react. Rigidly adhering to current strategy means risking missing opportunities. VUCA leaders need to be flexible and yet sufficiently focused to keep people motivated. Vuca is complex and challenging, but it is also an environment that can allow true leadership talents to evolve. This will permit Vuca leaders to view Vuca as an opportunity for development and greater collaboration rather than a risk to be mitigated. Finally, we can say something in this presentation. Global higher education is at a critical juncture of opportunity and growth, coupled with changing demands and changes. Institutions and their leaders must move quickly to adapt to changes brought about by quality assurance and diminish funding. Each institution must design its own future and how to best adjust and adapt to their individual circumstances. Not all institutions can respond in the identical way. Also, global higher education institutions must devise means for competing in this new environment. For some, it may be scaling back grow because funding will not permit ideal programs and the ability to meet student needs. For others, it may mean controlled expansion to take advantage of the increased student pool. Regardless, global university must have a strategic plan in place that can be modified in response to the global marketplace, for without a sustainable plan, many global universities may not succeed in their current configuration. The opportunities are plentiful, but so are the challenges. Failing to plan for the current and future challenges could be devastating for global universities. Thank you so much for listening me. Thank you so much to join to this very great event in India. Thank you so much again. Invite me. If you have any question, please contact with me via email.
Thank you, ma'am. It was an amazing field.
Most welcome.
Sorry, ma'am.
Most welcome.
Okay, ma'am. So it was an amazing feel out of your speech that radiates the knowledge among us today. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Most welcome. Thank you too for your very nice and kind, polite attention to me and great invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The admiration of genius makes one aspire for excellence in life that creates the harvest so abundantly. Example moves the world more than doctrine. True leadership lies in guiding others to success, in ensuring that everyone is performing at their best, doing the work they are pledged to do and doing it well. We too have such a genius in administration, Dr. Lee Elisa Pefer, Deputy Director Academic, Middlesex University, Mauritius, with us today. Once again, I request Mrs. Tilakavati to take an important role to introduce our eminent speaker to the gathering.
Tilakavati ma'am should be unmuted, madam. Can make her co-host.
Sir, permission given, sir. No issues.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sridevi.
Thank you.
Yeah, we feel elated to invite Dr. Lee Elisa Pefer as a speaker for today's session. Holding her degrees as a full sentence, Dr. Lee's PhD research had focused on the implementation of recognition of prior learning in higher education, Passion for education and training has driven her to assume various roles at all levels of the education and training landscape, which includes policy development, implementation and monitoring, curriculum development, preparing institutions for accreditation, and other respective roles. Though based in South Africa for most of her career, she has developed national policies for higher education and national quality assurance systems for many countries, including Mozambique, Namibia, Botswana, Mauritius, Egypt, and Bahrain. Furthermore, works with the Oman Academic Accreditation Authority in facilitating the development of the Oman National Qualifications Framework. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen.
Thank you, Mrs. Tilakavati, for a detailed introduction of Dr. Lee. We are highly privileged to wholeheartedly honor Dr. Lee Elisa Pefer over online.
Thank you. Right. Today I'm going to share with you some of my thoughts about how we deal with enrollment planning in higher education during the time of COVID. And in fact, the only certainty we have is uncertainty. So I'd like to start off by just telling you where I am today. I am now located in Mauritius, beautiful island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And if you have a look, it's a really small island. And if you look at it in relation on the map, in relation to the size of Madagascar, you'll see just how small it is. But we punch above our weight. In other words, we carry a lot of impact and we have a lot of impact on the rest of the world. So I'd also like to tell you, I've joined Middlesex University of late. I'm the academic director. And you'll see that's our campus. We have a beautiful campus. We are a branch campus of the Middlesex University in London. And we do accept a lot of international students from India. So I thought that would be of interest to you. Right, what is enrollment planning? Enrollment planning is part of a comprehensive enrollment management process designed to achieve and maintain optimal recruitment and retention of students within the broad context of student success and the institutional mandate and mission. But when we're doing enrollment planning, we have to look back in order to look forward. So now that we know what enrollment planning is, let's have a look at that. The systematic enrollment management process. And this is a little quiz, a little test for us to know what the V stands for. The conference is prefaced around these 4 letters, VUCA. And V is for vision, U is for understanding, C is for clarity, and A is for agility. And if you have a look at the explanation below, it's the vision to communicate the clear intention of the desirable future. And it's the opposite of instability. Understanding is the ability to stop, look, and listen. It's the opposite to uncertainty. Clarity is the quality of being systematic and coherent, and you can simplify complex situations. It's the opposite of complexity. And agility means being a dynamic leader who can move quickly to be responsive in certain conditions. And the opposite of that is ambiguity. So having set those definitions and parameters, let's have a look. What has characterized higher education in the past 18 months? Well, it's been all of those things. Uncertainty. We don't know, in most countries in the world, we don't know from day to day. Is our teaching and learning going to move online? Is it staying offline? Is it going to be a hybrid approach? Is it going to be blended? Or are we going back to class? Those are all the questions we keep asking. It's instability. We don't know from day to day what is happening. Although we can make plans, we are always subject to the instability of the system in COVID. Its complexity. How do we deal with this very, very complex situation of students who have to now learn online, with lecturers who have to move their teaching online? And it's clouded with ambiguity, duplicity of meaning. We're not absolutely sure what is happening. And this is what's characterized higher education for the past 18 months, the exact opposite of VUCA, of the vision, understanding, clarity, and agility that we've needed. Some questions to get you thinking. What is the impact of COVID-19 on enrollment of international students? Because we know that students haven't been able to move around as easily as they've been in the past. So what's happened to the mobility of students? How do we do reliable enrollment planning during the COVID pandemic? We don't know what to expect. All our usual factors that we take into account are no longer valid. So how are we going to deal with trying to be responsible and do reliable enrollment planning during this crazy time we live in? Do we know what the international enrollment trends are going to be in the future? Can we say for next year what's going to happen? And if we can, how can we plan our enrollments more effectively? Let's have a look at the globalization of higher education. The pandemic will accelerate a disruptive trend. This is a quotation. A disruptive trend that was already underway before the crisis. That of students increasingly considering a wide range of destinations than in the past, often for practical reasons, such as affordability, the ability to work, immigration after graduation. All these are factors that were around before the pandemic started. It simply accelerated this, what they would term a disruptive trend. It's disrupting the course of what we understand. So what has happened to enrollment planning in higher education? Well, this is an interesting chart that shows us, it comes from a reflection of student enrollments from 2000 to 2020. And what you'll see, the difference from 2000 to 2020, is that the top 5 destinations have changed. If you have a look at the blue color here, you'll see that there's no blue color here. China has entered the market from 2010. And look how the proportion has grown from 2010 to 2020. Canada's share has also grown. If you have a look at Canada's, this color, you'll see this thin sliver of the pie up here getting bigger and getting even bigger. Germany, on the other hand, their share has reduced. And you can see that by looking at the color. I just need to see where this color is, because I've got my thing on there. Germany is the dark blue. Can you see how they've moved down from 12.75%? UK share in red has also decreased. 14.13, it's the red one. 14.13 down to 10. Australia's share has remained constant. If you have a look at the green, you'll see 7.88. So what are these trends telling us? Well, what we do know is that the impact of COVID has been varied, okay? It hasn't been consistent in one place. New enrollments have dropped, but not continuing enrollments. So in other words, students who are already in the system continue to stay in the system and follow through and progress from year to year. But where we see the drop is from new enrollments, students coming into the system for the first time. What we also see is that students have slowed the pace of progression, and are now enrolled at host institutions for longer periods of time. And we think that this might be due to the fact that students want to have the security of staying with their visas, international students. 70% of international students have suffered from stress and anxiety. And this is a very significant factor that we have to take into account when we talk about globalization of education. But what we do see is an increasing correlation between having some face-to-face learning experience and enrollment patterns. So students are showing that they prefer to go to institutions where there is at least some face-to-face teaching experience, and it's not entirely online. If we look at the USA, I've selected 3 countries to look at in a little more detail. The USA, what they found is that the psychology of students is actually changing. Students are impatient with the disruptive effect of COVID on their studies and careers, and they are now willing to travel again, and the demand for study abroad is strong. If you look at India, you'll see that, let me just move this away again. If you look at India, you'll see that in 2020, Indian and Chinese students made up 53% of international students in the UK, in the United States. China and India account for more than 50% of international students in Australia and Canada. And 25% of international students in the UK are Indian students. Indian has been seen as a source of international students rather than a destination for students. Only 0.1% of students studying in India at the moment are international students. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mauritius, because that's where I am. The total enrollment in 2020 showed a net decrease of 2.2%. The enrollments from overseas went down by 11.9%. Not surprising given the COVID situation in 2019 to 2020. New entrants into the higher education system decreased by 11.8%. Can you see again? It's new entrants where we are seeing the dips. And the total private enrollment, excluding self-study students, declined by 9.4%. So in Mauritius, it's had an overall impact on the general number of students as well as on the international students coming in. Now, how can we do reliable enrollment planning in this crazy time of COVID? Are our graphs still going to reflect this line? What's going to happen to them? So what we're doing is we're trying to move from uncertainty to clarity. So we're trying to move from instability to a future vision and a clear intention when it comes to enrollment planning. In other words, where are we going to target our enrollments? Where are we going to put our marketing resources? Where are we going to attract students? Ambiguity, we want to become clarification and understanding. We need that to be clear, and we need to try and work within this crazy COVID situation to try and get clarification and understanding. We need to work from a static environment to a highly responsive environment that can react quickly. Now, if you think of our decision-making processes at universities and in academic life, we tend to be quite slow in our responsiveness. We take decisions at faculty level, then they elevate to academic board or senate or a similar body. Then they go up further up, and then the board, if it's a private institution, the board has to take it into consideration. And So we land up not being as highly responsive as we can be, and we need to move away from that, remaining in a static situation to a much more rapid and adaptive one. Complexity, we need to move from the simple to the simple and the systematic and coherent. But all this is set against the uncertainty that we're facing. Now, student enrollment planning is informed by institutional research, and I think that we all need to up our stakes when it comes to institutional research. We have to collect data on a regular basis and analyze it with a view to making informed decisions. We look at market trends, and the way we look at market trends is by engaging with industry and our various stakeholder groups, professional bodies. We look at student feedback. Where are students finding employment? Where are they finding opportunities for career pathing? We have to consult with them on a regular basis. And we have to be following trends. We have to keep researching and reading up about the trends of where students want to be. And we also have to start forecasting trends. So if this is the situation now, where are we going to be in a year's time? Student enrollment is also affected by, not informed by, affected by tuition projected costs. So if we continue teaching online, we will have some certain savings, but it's going to cost us more in other areas. So we need to always factor in those projected costs. We need to be affected by our market demands. What is the market telling us? And also available facilities. We've all had to move very quickly online, but some of us are lagging behind in the technological facilities that we need to make this a reality. And there are new factors in the list, in the mix. And these have a potential to fundamentally alter a destination's popularity in future. And the first one is border policies. What are the policies about lockdowns, students leaving, airports closing, students coming in sometimes by road? Can they come in by road? What are the border policies in relation to this new environment we find ourselves in? The availability of in-person tuition. As I said to you, there has been a trend that shows that institutions that offer some in-person tuition and instruction will attract students. So that's another factor. The ability to access vaccinations is another factor. Does the country that we're moving to provide vaccinations for foreign students or not? And all of these contribute toward the new decisions of where students are making their choices. And what we ultimately have to do when we do enrollment planning is to determine the institutional program and qualification mix. This is based on institutional research and findings, and the kind of criteria we look for when we're deciding if we're going to continue with the program and how many students we can expect, our target numbers, and how we fulfill that target number, include program viability and sustainability. Right? Is it viable? Is it a highly costly program? Is it sustainable? Can we keep this up? Do we have expert staff? Do we have facilities? Do we have infrastructure that will make this sustainable? The resource allocation, again, do we have infrastructure? Do we have staff with the prerequisite requirements? Market demand, we've seen that come up now for the third time. Cost of tuition, we have to consider that when we consider a program and continuing a program, as well as national needs and future-oriented strategies. So if we know that a country is moving in the direction of, say, logistics, they've identified and targeted logistics, the management as a priority for their country, they want to become a logistics hub and transport hub, then we have to consider that and to try and focus our attentions on future-oriented strategies that might be undertaken by the government. And what we've got to do is we've got to do away with incorrect assumptions. I think in this time of COVID, we so easily can make incorrect assumptions. Students are bored at home. They'll want to study. Not always true. Students are unmotivated. They won't want to study. Not always true. And there are all of the assumptions we make when we do enrollment planning need to be put through the microscope. Is this a correct assumption? Is there data that supports this? Is it a trend that is recognized in higher education? And we have to look at what our students are telling us. Students vote with their feet. To vote with your feet means to show that you do not support a decision or action by leaving a place or organization. So in other words, students will leave an organization that is not catering to their needs, to the market needs, and to the needs for them to find a job. They will simply walk away from the institution if it's not offering quality. So, what do we know about the international trends, enrollment trends are going to do in the future? Do we know what's going on? This was an interesting article. This table is based on an article that was reflected on one single person's projections and predictions in 2005, 2010, and 2021. And this person predicted, let's just take some, for example, the second lockdown of 2005. Telecommunications options will become standard practice, with students taking classes at home, on campus, elsewhere, all the time. Okay, so that was the projection in 2005. Telecommunications, we still call it telecommunications. That would have been your doing things based at home using technology. If you now look, you'll see that in 2021, students will enroll in colleges with well-established health protocols. Interestingly, too, it's predicted that antiquated business education, higher education business models will be replaced with a differential pricing structure. So we're looking at even our business models of education being turned upside down. And what's interesting to note at the bottom is that students will be admitted year-round and will be notified of admission decisions as soon as their applications are complete. Students will attend school year-round in some combination or other. So in other words, what they were saying is that this is specifically talking about the American situation, but I think it's highly applicable for international trends. We're not going to have an autumn or a fall semester and then a spring semester or an Easter semester, whatever you call it in your institution, and then a summer semester. That's going to fall away. We are going to have to admit students as they are required, okay? So that also means that we have to have numerous start dates, entry points, and exit points within our qualifications and within our academic year. And the whole thing, it's almost like, I don't know how many of you are familiar with flipping the classroom. Well, this is about flipping education. This is saying we're not going to do things the way we used to. It's not business as usual. We have to have well-established health protocols. We have to have differential pricing structures. We have to enroll students throughout the year. And we also have to have students attending class all year round. No more of the 3 to 4 months vacation time during the summer. And then some of the challenges. There's always resistance to change. And change agents will know that academics in particular, the world and human beings don't like change. But particularly academics are really quite entrenched in their systems. Some academics are very entrenched in their systems, and to get them to move is a bit like rolling this very large ball up the hill. What we'll also see as a challenge is the disparities in access, where students who are better resourced will be able to access online education and will be able to make those opportunities work for them. Students are not as well resourced will have limited access. And that's a very sad fact that we have to try and mitigate against as institutions. And then one article very interestingly spoke about the differences in socio-democratic profiles of students and the impact on success in the time of COVID. They found that female students are generally more satisfied with their online offerings than male students. Full-time students are more satisfied with their offerings than part-time students. Year one students are more satisfied with their offerings than higher level students. And generally, women with poor living standards are more satisfied than men with poor living standards. These all impact on their satisfaction. So there are so many challenges we have to take into account. How do we encourage part-timers with this online study? There are so many, I don't have the numbers for it, but there are so many part-time students in the world today. So many students are choosing to study part-time now because of economic reasons. And how do we best cater for those students in an online learning environment? So the findings I leave with you today are the following. Let me just move this. We see that there's greater student mobility. There's a demand for study overseas and abroad. It's still strong. The top destinations, however, have changed. Health protocols and in-person teaching will be factors that students consider when making decisions. And there has been a shift in the psychology of students since the early days of COVID that we need to monitor and review. And we need to adjust our offerings to match this change in psychology of students. I thank you very much, and I hand back to the Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, ma'am, for igniting your sparkle with your informative and thought-provoking speech. We are highly privileged to wholeheartedly honor Dr. Lee Elisa Pefer over online.
Thank you.
Ronald Reagan says that the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Today, we have a brave personality, Professor Dr. Haslinda Abdullah, Director, NDUM Institute of Executive Education, Faculty of Defense Studies and Management, National Defense University, Malaysia, with us as the next speaker who takes charges to train the young minds to be brave, faces risk, and be the savior. Again, I request Mrs. Tilakavati to introduce Professor Dr. Haslinda Abdullah to the gathering. It's over to you, Mrs. Tilakavati.
Thank you, Dr. Sridevi. It's our esteemed honor to invite Dr. Haslinda Abdullah as a speaker for this evening. Haslinda Abdullah is a professor at the National Defense University, Malaysia, who has further embellished as a director for NDUM Institute for Executive Education. Dr. Haslinda obtained her PhD from Cardiff University in UK, where she taught MBA. She has produced more than 30 PhD and 200 master's students, has written 80 research articles and conference proceedings, and has published several books. Along with the teaching journey, Dr. Haslinda has gained 17 years of industrial experience in human resource management and human resource development from the manufacturing and services sector, as well as the Ministry of Defense. To the pinnacle of her accomplishments, Dr. Haslinda has been teaching strategic management and other management subjects not only to the students but also to the military officers at the Malaysian Armed Forces Staff College. As an active reviewer and editor of several international journals, Dr. Haslinda has won numerous awards. Besides, has received excellent teaching awards and recognitions. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Tilagavati, for a detailed introduction of Dr. Haslinda. I'm very much delightful to call upon Professor Dr. Haslinda Abdullah to take over the session. It's over to you, ma'am.
Ma'am, you are muted, ma'am. Can you please unmute yourself, ma'am?
Mr. Uday Kumar?
Ma'am has given co-host permission, sir. Ma'am has to unmute, sir.
She's not unable to do.
Just 1 minute, sir. I just gave. Ma'am, I have given an unmute access, ma'am. You can unmute yourself, ma'am. In the bottom left, there is a mute option.
Okay,
Yeah.
finally.
Yes.
All right. Okay, then thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me to this virtual conference. It is an honor, especially to the organizers, for inviting me here. Now, the topic that I'm going to share with you is challenges faced by university administrators and academics in managing a university in the Vuca era. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please go ahead.
Is it clear? Right. I don't have any slides to show you because normally I don't prefer to show slides, but I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, yeah? Okay, so, right. Year 20 and 21, we academics and university administrators are challenged with one of the worst crises or pandemics since the Spanish flu in 1918. That is a century ago. To be exact, it is 104 years ago. Right, as it is, prior to the pandemic, we have been faced with numerous challenges of managing our university and tertiary education system. These challenges comes from numerous external environment factors, from political influence and interference, economical impacts, social and demographic factors, technological advancement, legal system, and ecological unprecedented occurrences, such as our recent highly deadly pandemic, or in short, PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E. Nevertheless, as we are moving rapidly into the matrix world of sophisticated technology, digitalization, innovation, and innovativeness, as well as the thirst and drive of internationalization, university administrators are also challenged with global rankings and competitions, attracting the right expertise and retaining the best talents, as well as the impact of hard media and soft media. Therefore, what I'm going to share with you this evening, I'm going to share with you past glam, because pastel, the traditional pastel, has become glamorous now. Yes, since in the Vuca world, it has become the pastel, the old traditional pastel is now glamorous, and it's called past glam. Factors that university administrators are struggling to juggle in their management to bring out the best in the tertiary education system. The Pascalam factors are P for political or governmental influence and interference, E for economic or rising cost and fundings, S for students, stakeholders, and parents' rising expectations and leadership visions and strategies. T, on the other hand, is for rapid technological and digital innovativeness, and G for operating in a global context for internationalization and competition for rankings and star ratings, whilst L is for legal requirements, quality assurance and accreditations, expectations, and lastly, E for ecological, unforeseen and unpredicted occurrences, and finally, M for media, particularly formal and social media. Now let's go to the first one, that is political. Yeah, political governmental interference in universities administration and higher education system is nothing new. It has been happening there before the pandemic, or prior to this, or traditionally, or before, many years ago. However, yeah, politics and the governance structures in the government has been the main actor behind the shape of curriculum designs, students' admissions and recruitment, teaching and learning methods, leadership placements such as the vice chancellors or the top position in the universities, and the driving force behind higher education main strategies. For example, during the pandemic, the higher education administrators and academics were constantly on their toes and wits' ends, awaiting directions and directives from the politics and the government structures in making critical decisions with regards to students' movement, teaching and learning. A university is a huge organization, unlike a corporate organization, in which the management of people or human resources is much more easier. A university involves movement of students, as well as the delicate and complex matter of trying to adopt a new teaching method overnight, as we are all have got to go online overnight, yeah? And the university administrators and academics have to be moving at lightning speed to catch up with the unexpectedness of a pandemic, but of course, putting students' priorities at the forefront. We have also seen how the political structures influences the selection of leadership positions in universities, such as the vice chancellors and deputy vice chancellors. The question of, to what extent are we in synergy with the selection based on political linkage and network, not on merit, expertise, and capability? Are we contended with this political interest, which can jeopardize the future of our outputs, that is, our students? The same goes to the internal political drama, in which smart, highly educated academics are willing to put their values and moral beliefs at stake just for their self-interest in the chase for positions and power. E, the second one, yeah, that is funding and self-sustainability. As we all know, universities or higher education requires very heavy investments, either in the private higher institution by investors and governmental support for the public universities. However, gone are the era in which public universities are fully dependable on government budget and support. We are now seeing the public university to be self-sustainable and able of running its operation from self-generated income. In other words, academics in public universities have to be an entrepreneur other than just a teacher or lecturer. This has indeed pushed academics to a high level of stress as the job scope has expanded beyond teaching and learning. At the same time, rising cost of living and university operating costs have rapidly increased due to inflation rates globally. But the issue now, we are seeing many private and public universities are reducing or undercutting tuition fees just to obtain student numbers. The question here, Are we competing for money or quality of education? We as academics should have the principle and values of foresighting the future. We should be thinking of who we want to produce to lead our future generations. Now, S is for students, parents, and stakeholders, needs and expectations. The business and employment markets are seeing a new trend. They are expecting the employment of today to have tertiary education degree. At the same time, some employers would be having high preference of postgraduates. With this shift in the demand of graduates, every school leavers are expected to have a place in the higher education system. And parents' demands for acceptance into the higher education has put a lot of pressure on students and other stakeholders. Thus, this has shaped a nation's vision and strategies as well as opportunities for businesses in the private higher institution. However, we have seen in the competition and urge for business success, the quality of teaching and learning may be at stake. Now, the next one is T, technology. Yes, the rapid advancement of technology or digitalization and innovativeness is a great innovation. It is the ideal state of operations and can be very agile and effective. However, to what extent universities are able to cope up with the demands of rapid advancement of the technology? To what extent can the monetary resources support the demand? To what extent can the human resources, that is, academics, cope up with the rapid demands of technology, both software, hardware, and equipment? To what extent can the university generally cope up with teaching and learning, with online teaching, learning, and assessment? Let us reflect back during the pandemic. All the academics around the globe, and of course, talking in the Malaysian or Southeast Asia context, we were all caught by surprise with online teaching, learning, and assessment. We literally have to adopt online teaching and assessment overnight, in which we have to learn on our own the various teaching platforms overnight. Yeah, as it has been, we improve to be better and more understanding as we go along, making numerous trials and mistakes along the way. And until to date, the idea of regressing, moving into the traditional method of face-to-face teaching is the ongoing strategy. However, this is not the way forward for the future. Universities or higher education institutions should be investing in advanced digitalization of teaching and learning in preparation for the future, as that is the way forward for us, which is digital future. We shouldn't be regressing to the traditional method of teaching and learning. Now, G is for global rankings and accreditation. Globalization, internationalization, rankings, and accreditation are the keywords of today's higher education institutions. Competition and students' mobility and demands has pressured higher education institutions to work and compete outside of the domestic or national context and goes beyond into internationalization. And this concept demands higher education institutions to rise up the ranking ladder by having numbers of international students, exchange students, and academic programs, collaboration in research, publication, conferences, and other academic activities. Hence, the measurement of globalization and internationalization scale has been one of the main critical indicators for the ranking criteria. L, that is legal. Accreditation of programs is a great way of ensuring its standards. Programs are assessed and measured in terms of its PLOs, CLOs, SLTs, and soft skills, and many others. But the main issues faced by academics are the constantly changing, almost new expectation, which is great, but not being communicated or disseminated effectively. In addition, the constantly changing, too frequent, with very short duration in between, I would say, and too many forms or requirement to be completed by academics has put a toll and have affected academics psychologically. This is due at most times the requirements in the accreditation process and procedures may not be that necessary, and it has added additional burden to the whole process. Any accreditation should be made simpler and not a burden, a complicated nuisance into an added overwork academics. And yes, I would like to emphasize that accreditation is critical. It is needed, it is important, but it should also be appropriate and effective, not just a measurement scale that looks complicated and technically beautiful or superb. Now the next one is ecology, E for ecology. Now our ecological system is an environment that we have no control over. Pandemic, endemic, disaster, crisis, terrorism, earthquakes, tsunami, haze, and other kinds of disaster and crisis has happened and impacted our higher education institutions. Take, for example, the pandemic we are facing now. We are not at all prepared for this phenomenon. Now is the time for higher education institutions to have a risk assessment task force or risk management team to forecast and strategize the ecological impact on our higher education businesses. In the future, we may be challenged with CBRN, that is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosives. Yes, some higher education businesses in other countries may have experienced some or either one of these crises. Now, have we predicted and be prepared for any of these crises or disaster? Are we thinking that it is a waste of resources to foresight, plan, and be ready for any of this? If we are at this level of mindset, then we will be no better than what we are beginning of last year, 2021, when the pandemic occurs. Media, okay, M. M is for media and manpower and management. Now, manpower, the driving force behind a high-ranking and successful higher education institution is its human resources. Hence, attracting the right or appropriate academics with the right discipline and expertise is crucial. Moreover, not only can university administrators able to attract them, but the ability to retain these talents is more critical as it reduces the cost of training and retraining. In addition, it is critical for the university in achieving its status in the global rankings. The workforce should also have got a good combination of diversity, with the seniors mentoring the juniors in order to contribute to the university's vision and missions. However, the recruitment and selection of academics can sometimes be heavily influenced with self-interest and cronyisms. This can heavily impact the quality of teaching and learning, trust, as well as professional teamwork and motivation. Media, okay, finally, the last one is media. We all know that the media, whether it's formal and social media, plays an important role on projecting the image of a university or higher education institution. Students, academics, university administrators, and leaders of institutions have resort to the media platform for promotion and image building to attract students' intakes, academic talents, and to gain popularity for star ratings and rankings. However, most students, academics, and stakeholders are still skeptical in utilizing this media platform as part of its strategies in improving the university's image and also achieving its objectives. The idea of data and information privacy is still largely believed by many. Nevertheless, students, academics, and university administrators have nothing too sensitive to share. Academics and higher education is all about education and lifelong learning. And the media, both formal and social media, is one of the best platforms to project, to share, to disseminate knowledge and information. Now, with all the challenges above, what is the way forward? What strategies can we propose for a better future in order to have future leaders who are of high integrity and leadership of character? What can we propose so that university or higher education institution of the future is an institution that we can be proud of? It may seem like an idealist idea, but an ideal future should be having the right discipline expertise with a good diversity who are visionaries. Secondly, having human resources of integrity and good moral values who are agile. You may be an expert, you may have all the expertise, but if you don't have integrity and good moral values, it will bring down a good institution. Be an organization of higher education institution who is understanding, working in alliance rather than competing against each other. Having a special task force who are visionary and able to foresight future challenges and formulate effective or innovative strategies. And lastly, believe in the concept of understanding, agility, visionary, and transparency. And that's all from me this evening. Thank you very much.
As the general rule, the most successful man in life is the man who has the best information. We realize the statement with your amazing speech, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. We are highly privileged to honor Professor Dr. Haslinda Abdullah virtually.
Thank you.
Dear participants, this is a time for question answer session. So participants are requested to interact with the speakers or to post your questions in the chat box.
Or you can unmute and ask them questions, right?
Sir, I have given unmute access to everyone.
Yeah. So participants, you can unmute yourself and ask questions to any of the speakers.
Madam, very good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please go ahead, sir. So which madam you want to ask questions, sir?
Madam, as you said, only value system will uphold the institute or any universities. So the institutes or any university must give top priority for the value system. This is my suggestion. Thank you.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
An inquiry from Professor Lee, maybe. Professor Lee, the challenges that we are facing in higher education, as most of the experts have presented, is it because of the pandemic situation? And if that's so, once the pandemic is gone, then will these challenges will be not automatically removed or gone away? Or how much of these challenges will be not there if all these challenges are pandemic driven? Some clarification on that.
Ma'am, unmute yourself, Maya.
Is it myself that you'd like?
Yes,
Me to
Yes,
answer?
yes. Yes.
Okay, if you saw my quotation about that the pandemic has simply accelerated a disruption that in higher education that already happened. So it was starting already long before the pandemic, and I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's a growing sign that we really need to challenge our existing understandings and assumptions about education, and particularly about international and globalization of education, and develop new strategies to deal with it. The pandemic has simply exaggerated something that's already going on. So what I anticipate is that the trends that we've seen are going to continue. And if I just look at my own institution, we're talking about, the possibilities that we might continue to offer some courses online, that we might continue to offer a blended or a hybrid approach to learning, with certain classes being online and certain classes being in person. And we're already looking at different models of education, and those are not going to go away. Those new thinking, it's like trying to close a box when everything's jumped out already. I don't think we're going to see back to business as usual. I think this is, just as we've said, exaggerated a trend that's already been started. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Madam, Professor Haslinda Abdullah, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, so somebody in the chat box asked the questions. What are the new subjects that have become important in the present Vuca environment in the curriculum? Any idea, ma'am?
New subjects in
Yes.
the, okay. From my perspective, the new subjects that would be very important is back to basic. That is the meaning subjects such as integrity. Because when we want to manage an organization, particularly in this volatile environment, it's all about having the integrity, being agile, and at the same time, some of the new subjects may be something to do with terrorism, how we can manage disaster and terrorism, because that is the common, or rather the future that we can see that would be forthcoming. Particularly now we're having the pandemic. In actual fact, before the pandemic happens, I already foresight that it could happen. And when it happens, I said, there it is. And the next thing that I was thinking at the moment now is all about CBRNE. Yeah. So those are some of the critical subjects that I feel which is important for the future, or rather that should be provided to all our students currently. Is subjects like moral values. That is the basic.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you very much.
One more question in the chat box, sir.
Yeah.
This is for Dr. Lee. Is there a master degree in special education?
I'm not quite sure of the context of the question, but I'm sure that there is a master's in some institutions do offer a master's degree in special education. I'm not sure if the person who asked the question can just give me a little more context. I can perhaps apply it more clearly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions, please, apart from participants? Yes, sir.
Can I just say?
Okay.
Talking about programs that are offered, I'd just like to inform the audience, if there is anybody interested, our Middlesex University offers a master's degree, a PGCHE, postgraduate certificate in higher education at the master's level. And we welcome practitioners and teaching staff onto the program. So if you are interested, we have a January intake if anyone's interested in doing the PGCHE with us.
Professor Haslinda Abdullah, ma'am.
Yes. What?
Yeah. In terms of leadership qualities to overcome this VOCA prime world, can you tell me top 3 leadership qualities? Can you please share out of your own experience?
Okay, right. The main leadership qualities that we are emphasizing right now, number 1 is esprit de corps, meaning having the teamwork and synergy. Yeah, number 1. Number 2 is integrity and religiosity. Okay, that's the second one. And the third one is honesty, because that's the thing that is going down the drain at the moment. Okay.
Thank you, madam.
All right.
Sridevi, ma'am, we can start, madam. Sir, VC sir has joined.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you please check, sir, whether sir has been made as the co-host.
Yeah, please, you go.
Okay, sir. A real leader does everything to grow the self, as well as to create the right environment for others to grow. Our next speaker of this evening is a great academician cum administrator, Professor N. Panjanadam, Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, India, whose visiting card is like a book in itself, overflowing with many of his academic qualifications. It's my pleasure to call upon Mrs. Tilakavati to introduce Professor N. Panjanadam to the gathering.
Thank you, Dr. Sridevi. It's our esteemed privilege to invite Professor Dr. N. Panjanadam for today's session. Dr. Panjanadam, with his 30 years of experience in teaching, academic, research and extension activities, has made 55 international visits covering 36 countries. He is the recipient of the first doctoral degree in the Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University, and has reputed for a series of publications in national and international journals. His research guidance includes 40 PhD scholars, 23 MPhil scholars, and 200 MBA candidates. He has adjudicated doctoral theses both from Indian universities and foreign universities. He has mobilized research, training, and consultancy grants to the tune of 325 lakhs. He was a team member in mobilizing 20 crores through RIUSA. As an acme of his reputation, he has received 41 prestigious national and international awards and fellowships. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Tilakavati. Thank you, Tilakavati, for your comprehensive introduction of Professor N. Panjanadam. We, SRM IST, highly privileged to honor Professor N. Panjanadam virtually.
Thank you. Thank you.
I humbly request Professor N. Panjanadam to address the gathering. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Very good evening to every one of you. My congratulations to organizing committee. My appreciation to wonderful, respected, dedicated participants. Most respected Professor Sundar, principal of the institution. Most respected Professor Asokan, vice principal of the institution and my good friend. Most respected Dr. Dileepan, vice principal of the institution. Similarly, other galaxy of other respected members of organizing team like Dr. Sridevi, and wonderful madam doing comparing, madam who introduced me, participant, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, on behalf of participants and on my own behalf, I congratulate SRM Institute of Science and Technology, College of Science and Humanities for organizing a 3-day virtual program, particularly in the name of International Conference on accelerating global higher education. See the right words they have used: accelerating global higher education in the Vuca prime world. Vuca, we all know, it stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So the life is generally, for many years, Vuca situation, though it was, I think, as a leadership theory, it was founded in 1987. I remember, I'm not sure. After that, due to various reasons, this Vuca situation all over the world is there because human behavior is unpredictable. Nature's behavior is unpredictable. No one expected Corona. No one expected Omicron. So many volcanoes, so many natural situations, but we have to learn to live in all these situations, mentioning volatility. In all these situations, you can see Vuca. Well, though it is given in different contexts, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So once again, I congratulate and I appreciate organizers for making people to spend their time, invest their time on a wonderful activity like an international conference. Stop learning, stop teaching. Stop learning, stop doing research. So we have to invest our time. We have to be a continuous learner. Only then wonderful outcome will come, because as they have rightly mentioned, accelerating global higher education, accelerating, that means quality is a journey. Quality does not have a destination. Except change, nothing is permanent. So acceleration according to the situations, particularly in Vuca situations, much has to be done by us. We must adapt ourselves. Gurukula system was there. Now we are moving towards personalized teaching. The tomorrow's teachers, we are all retiring, but still we want to share our experiences that tomorrow's teachers, in a class, 60 children are there, 60 students are there, even in higher education. Personalized, like a tuition, personalized teaching should be done. Whether people do listen or not, I will give my lecture to all. Let them take care of themselves. So those days have gone out. Personalized, it has become, particularly in the digital world. So we have to accelerate higher education. One side for quantity, another side for quality. No doubt quality is more important. It does not mean that we should ignore quantity also. If we take our country, India, it is the international conference, great guests are there from other countries. In India, particularly in many developing countries, if we see the rate of illiteracy is even today higher. Out of 1.38 billion people of this country, India, Bharat, if you take, around 78% of people do not know to write their own name. Even today in Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, Mayavaram, Kumbakonam, any place in the bus stand, you can see people asking some of us to come and read where the bus goes, what is written in the bus, where the bus goes, whether it goes to Chennai, Bangalore, read and tell me. They do not know to write their names, they do not know to read, what is written in the. So one side you have to improve the quantity of literates. It's a challenge, acceleration. Another side, if you to come to higher education, the title Accelerating Global Higher Education. If we take GER, gross enrollment ratio of India, it is all over India, it is less than 30%, 29 to 30%. That means those who are going for higher education, out of every 100 children coming out of schools after completing 12th standard, who want to go for higher education, BA, BSc, BCom, BEd, BSc Agriculture, BDS, all those things, only 29 to 30% children go for higher education. Remaining 70% people of this great country, which has got 1.38 billion people, do not have access. Either ecosystem is not there, colleges are not available, or seats are not available, or family situation is not good, or poverty plays important role. So many reasons are there. So many reasons. So only 30%, our own brothers and sisters of this country, 70% do not go to higher education. Accelerating higher education in quantity side. Same thing happens in other developing countries. I have made around 55 international visits, and I have visited many developing countries or underdeveloped countries. The situation is like this. That means one side acceleration, the name of acceleration of higher education, the quantity of people who have gone for higher education of schools to colleges and universities should be improved. This is one side. Another side, the quality matters. Quality matters. I used to share the original case study of my own family. My son is doing his doctorate in INSEAD, 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 European Business School, which is located both in Singapore and the campus, main campus in Fontainebleau, which is located in France. So this institute, my son, after his IIT education, he went for his research for the past 5 years. He is doing his doctorate every month. They pay around 4,000 Singapore dollar plus every year. They give some money, contingency and all. Put together, he has to publish 2 papers. If he publishes 2 papers in 5 years, if he puts it together and gives binds and gives the to the director, then the committee awards doctorate. 2 papers, only 2 papers. For this, the institute spends Indian rupee 2 crores. 2 crores. Indian money, 2 crores for publishing 2 papers. But where are we? Many excellent researchers, teachers, academicians, you have been listening. In many developing countries, are we getting 2 crores, 1 crore, 50 lakhs? 10 million, 5 million, 1 million at least to publish papers. Even in primary institutes, prime institutes, or like IIMs, IITs, even good papers are published, they get some allowance of like 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs rupee, not even 1 million. So friends, one side the quality, our investment towards, because why I'm telling, here if you see, India's population is around 17%, 1/7 of the total world population. Our research output is only less than 4%, quality paper publication. If we go to patent, it is less than 0.03%, something around, approximately I'm telling. So how far we have to go, both in quantity and quality, conferences like this. You have been listening yesterday, today, and you will be listening tomorrow. So all these listenings will make you or provoke you or motivate you to do good teaching learning process or good or wonderful research work, through which only we can see that quality education is provided all over the world, all over the world. So once again, I appreciate, I congratulate organizing team for making people to understand this topic, accelerating global higher education, both quantity side and quality side. So friends, this experiential learning, there are 150 methods, pedagogies of teaching learning product. How can we accelerate global higher education. We have to change from teacher-centric to student-centric. Even now, we are going to classes 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours continuously. We do talk. Teachers do talk. Results in our development. A teacher is going to a class is not to develop himself, but to develop his students. That being the case, it should be student-centric method. There are so many student-centric methods. It may be games, it may be dance, it may be drama, it may be quiz, it may be extempo, it may be field visit, it may be experiential learning. A school teacher in our country, India, Tamil Nadu, before this corona, he was asking government school teacher, he asked children to write 3 pages about the aeroplane, 10 marks. Everybody was writing only half page, 3 lines, 10 lines. Then he told that from my hard-earned money, school teacher, government school teacher, I will, there is a newspaper you can see, I will take you in aeroplane if you behave well and study well. 23 children were selected. From his hard-earned money, the teacher took them, purchased a ticket, air ticket from, I understand this, from Madurai to Chennai. Returned through Pandian Express, they brought them in train. So this air travel he made. All 23 children enjoyed air travel at the age of 7, 8, 9. The same question was given to them again. 10-mark question about aeroplane, airport, you write 3 pages. Children started to write 10 pages. Experiential learning, pedagogy matters, accelerating global higher education. So many methods, so many strategies, so many ways. One among them is adapting excellent pedagogy, experiential learning, excellent pedagogy, experience.
It's from outside the ladies' toilet on our floor.
Oh, hello. Please mute yourself. Please go ahead.
Experiential learning. So, friends, even same thing when Honorable former President of India, when he was 7, 8 years old in the corner of country, Tamil Nadu, India, Ramanathapuram, going to the school, Abdul Kalam ji, his teacher, physics teacher, was teaching about physics with the blackboard by putting some birds, everything, and how they are taking off everything. He was not able to understand. He told the teacher, the teacher took all children to a corner where more number of original birds are there in the seashore. Then he shown children how birds are flying, how they are taking care, how they are taking off, how they are maintaining the balance, how they are landing, everything. And ultimately, they understood, and that is the reason he developed an interest that he wanted to become pilot of aeroplane in young age. Ultimately, he became President of India. Experiential learning. So, in order to accelerate global higher education, particularly in Vuca, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So many leadership qualities are required for each and every teacher. Only then higher education can be accelerated. I take the last 2 minutes. I remember my experience in Sweden about leadership. John Adair from United States, who has written many books I used to refer, read, and teach my MBA students 30 years ago. I went to Sweden. He was the chairperson in the International Congress of Psychology, and I was presenting a research paper. And he spoke about leadership. I asked a question, how many qualities one should imbibe to become a great leader in ordinary period, but in a VUCA situation. That time he told 1,573 qualities one should be imbibed to become a great leader in his or her chosen field. It may be a music, or it may be military, it may be teaching, or it may be police, or it may be IAS, administration, whatever may be that. Then I asked him, how many vocabularies? I do not know. 1,573 qualities. How can I imbibe, sir? I do not know. Why can't you give me, like in the schools, I used to ask my teachers, What are the important questions I have to prepare for tomorrow's examination? Similarly, I asked what is the important quality one should imbibe. Then he asked me, are you from Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India? I told India. South India, North India, South India. Do you know Tirukkural? He asked me, do you know Tirukkural? He's an American, Englishman, American. Then I told, yes, I know. Not all couplets, something I know. Then he told one couplet, Agalvarai Tangum Nilambola, Tamai Igalvarar Porutai Talai, Talaina leader. He does not know to pronounce like this. He's an American. He says the translation of this couplet, those who are standing on the earth, they are damaging the earth, but the earth is able to bear them, spare them. Similarly, when people in the chosen field, they criticize you, they harass you, they develop hatred against you, even then, Purtal Tala, even then, you must have a balanced mindset, tolerance. Then you will become Talaivan, Talaivi leader. You will become a leader. Once this quality comes to you, you will automatically imbibe all other 1,573 qualities in Vuca situation or in any situation. You will be a great leader in any chosen field. That was the reply given to me by great psychologist and management scientist John Adair, who has written more number of books on personality and leadership way back in 1999 in Stockholm, Sweden. So I was happy to share this information with all of you. The simple reason is during Vuca situation, particularly in digital world, during Corona world, during this Omicron world, both the teachers and students should maintain so much of patience, tolerance, and other qualities so that better teaching learning practice will take back. Communication skill is more important. Communication skill is more important. Those who do not know Tamil, you cannot enjoy. Otherwise, I got a lot of such examples to tell, but it's being an international conference and better to avoid using Tamil. But good communication skill. One example I'll tell, and I'll make a full stop. When I was a visiting professor in Southern Federal University in Rostov-on-Don, Russia, I went to Russia on the way in Russian capital, Moscow. I have to change a flight, but all my food, everything kept in the baggage went off. And I became so sick, and sick in the sense hungry. My money $1 was not accepted. Then I bound out only one vegetarian bread in the airport from Moscow airport. Then he is not accepting my money, and I am so tired, aged, everything. And he wants me to go and change the money. And 2 floors I have to go down. My eyes are shrunk. So in that time, at my son's age, a boy was standing there. He is the only person talking English. Others did not talk. He is also like me, a customer. He asked me, sir, may I request you to be my guest today? That means that bread I will purchase, you eat, because you have money. That money is not valid here, American dollar. You have not changed. You can't go down 2 floors and get changed, and you have to come and eat. In the meantime, your next flight is ready. After understanding all those things very simply, he spoke, sir, may I request you to be my guest today? See the communication skill. If I say that don't have money, are you traveling first time? Why you are not changed it? I will give money, eat. If he speaks like that, who will eat? Who will eat? See the communication skill. That is how good communication skill, tolerance, so many other qualities one should imbibe to become a great leader, particularly in the field of higher education, so that such teachers, such professors, such researchers, and students, scholars all together can accelerate global higher education, particularly during Vuca situation. Vuca stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So with this note, I know that I have not introduced the topic. I got a lot of other experiences to be shared with you. However, due to want of time, I was given 20 minutes time. I have taken 22 minutes. Once again, on behalf of organizing committee, I congratulate all participants for investing your valuable time. God bless you. Similarly, on behalf of all participants, beneficiaries, very respected beneficiaries, wonderful beneficiaries, intellectual beneficiaries, I congratulate organizing team, particularly SRM Institute of Science and Technology and College of Science and Humanities for investing their time in organizing this wonderful 3-day virtual international conference on accelerating global higher education in the Vuca prime world. Vuca prime world. Much is to be deliberated on this topic. Anyhow, in the given time, I just shared some of my thoughts with you. I sincerely thank all of you for having given me an opportunity to address on this occasion, and sincerely thank you for patiently listening to me for the past 24 minutes. God bless all. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, sir. It was an excellent session and information overloaded out of your speech, sir. Thank you once again. A thankful heart is not only the greatest virtue, but the parent of all the other virtues. The essence of all beauty lies in the art of gratitude. May I now request the conference secretary and vice principal academic SRM IST, Dr. N. Asogan, sir, to propose vote of thanks. It's over to you, sir.
Very good evening, one and all present here. On behalf of College of Science and Humanities, SRM IST Ramapuram campus, and because of this conference secretary, I am very much grateful to today's speakers, starting from Professor Zelika Zelemaglu from Turkey, and Dr. Lee Elisa Pefer from Mauritius, and Professor Dr. Haslinda Abdullah from Malaysia, and Professor Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor N. Panjanathan from Chennai, India. I am very much thankful to all the participants who are gathered here, as Vice Chancellor told, that investing your time to enrich your learning that. So we are once again very much thankful to every participant, every speaker for the day, and we guarantee that the conference will be productive and worth your precious time. Definitely, we believe that today's you have definitely some kind of meaningful and constructive learning also. Thank you once again for all the participants. With this, we come to the formal closure of this today's session, and we request all the participants to join tomorrow also evening by 6:20 for the final day conference on that. Thank you very much. Very good night. Thank you. Very kind of